Hello everyone, how are you doing? It's been a while since I've done any kind of mix breakdown or mix stream or anything like that, and this is the first time I'm doing it on the High Pass Show page. I'm also cross-posting it to the McBroom sisters page because it's one of the songs from their album that I'm going to do the mix breakdown of. If you're watching, say hi. The comments are always a little bit behind, so it will take a while. Yeah, so the album's done. There's still things I want to tweak, but you know, it's always going to be the way, isn't it? But the album is done. So yeah, I can start showing you some of the mixes. It's not secret anymore. It's out there, ready to buy. I haven't got a buy link, but I'm sure if you go on the McBroom sisters page or you go to their website, you will be able to get a link to buy it. If Lorelei or anyone or Durga or Dave or any of those are watching, you can put a comment in the link, a link in the comments below, not a comment in the link. That makes no sense at all. Yeah, I'm a bit out of practice at doing this, so if I'm a little bit stuttery at the beginning, apologies for that. It's been a while since I've done one of these shows. So I think I'm going to start where we always usually start and listen through. Remember, this has already been mixed, so I'm not actually live mixing this. This has been mixed. So without any more waffle from me, I'm going to mute my microphone. For some reason this has crashed. Brilliant. I'll mute it on the desk manually. Yeah, I'll mute my microphone and then, yes, it's trying to reconnect because I rebooted my internet. See, you're getting warts and all today. This is a proper broadcast. Here we go. So, I need to mute me and I'll play the whole song from start to finish. Here we go.
Something in me tears. I shovel off, mind slap numb, completely unaware of my surroundings. The comfort of an electric blanket, woven of TV and internet, soothes me a little, so I'm not so brittle, apt to crack from one last hard word from your upturned lip and my downcast face. I need to ease the pain. I want to be erased.
that's the song played off the multitrack. So let me show you what's going on this song. I'll break it down into some constituent components. So the first thing, if anyone's watched me mix on a stream before, you'll probably know that I like to group drums in certain ways. So let me just expand the screen out here. So I've got the bass drum, the snare drum, the hi-hat, the toms, the 3 toms, all of those going to a group called close drums. So if I solo the close drums there, I'm going to just do that, you'll hear all of those. And then we've got the overheads as well, which are these two here. Which are over the top of the kit, so that's more like the ambience. So they're grouped separately, so I've got the close drums and the overheads, and both of those are being sent to the all drums group, and I also feed them in via a send to something called the trash drums, which has a heavily well, the peak reduction's right up, so this is heavily compressed. You can see how much that's compressing. I mean, that's just completely trashed, and I've got that mixed in underneath. So this is the basic drum sound that I've got going on with no reverb. I'll let it get into the beat a bit so you can hear it. So there's loads of compression on that. If I get rid of the trash drums, hang on a second. So that's sort of uncompressed, and then I've got it parallel compressed with the trash drums. And because of the sort of the washy nature of this song, I've got them up a lot higher than sometimes I'd have them. You can really hear the kit fighting, all the bits of the kit fighting with each other. The overheads I time aligned with the in-phase plugin here, so they were 2.67 milliseconds, which is 128 samples out, so I really closely time aligned them to get the whole kit sounding as tight as possible, because then I wanted to add in a ridiculous reverb over the top. I saw this the other day posted in a group that I'm part of to do with audio engineering, and it really made me laugh. Oh, it's not coming up. Of course it's not coming up. Thank you, Windows. You are useless as ever. There we go. It looks a lot like you're applying a lot of reverb on this snare drum. Are you aware it isn't 1982? Well, yes, I'm totally aware that it's not 1982. I found that very funny. So that applies to this song to some degree. But you can hear how tight the drums are without the reverb. If I take that in-phase plugin out, you can suddenly hear it much roomier. Put the in-phase plugin back in, and the whole thing is just so much tighter, which for a song like this is what I wanted, because I wanted to introduce the roominess and the reverb sort of artificially. So let's get on to the reverb. I put a delay in front of the reverb, just a standard, one of the ones in Cubase that was just a 16th beat away, and then the reverb itself, which is a plate reverb, which has got a really long 3-second reverb. But I had no pre-delay on this, so I was doing the pre-delay with the plugin, because the pre-delay even whacked right up on this was not long enough for what I wanted. And when you hear it with the drum reverb, you'll hear that it's a proper in-time echo. It sounds great. But I haven't got anywhere close to as much of it on the bass drum as I have on some of the other things like the snare and the toms, because the bass drum would just sound a little bit too flappy through that much reverb. So on the bass drum, let's go through this. I've got a Q10 EQ. Pretty sort of standard stuff, loads and loads of low mid cut. We've got a nice peak here at the bottom end to get the low end thump, and I've taken out some of the I've kind of allowed it to come up there but found a horrible frequency clearly that I've cleared out of there. I've got the Trans X plugin, which is basically producing a little bit more transients into the whole thing. I've got an SSL channel where I would have started with their default bass drum setting, or kick drum as they call it. And then I would have tweaked the EQ from there. And then I've got this one knob louder thing. I think I just wanted to make it fatter, and I think I was running out of fader space and I wanted to compress, and I just loaded this and it seemed to work. I've never really used much of the one knob stuff, but clearly I put that on and that sounded great for what I was looking for. I've got the snare here, pretty similar stuff. I've got an EQ. I've got the Trans X to get more transients, and I've got the SSL channel starting with the snare preset and then working at it from there. The hi-hat's just got an EQ on it, which is actually quite simple, just looks like that. How much of the hi-hat is there in the mix? A reasonable amount. You like the pre-delay, do you, Dave? I'm glad you do. Yeah, it makes it sound epic. And then the toms are all pretty much the same. I've got an EQ on each tom. I'd imagine they're slightly different, each tom. You can see that's the first tom, that's the second tom. They're slightly different depending on the frequencies that the tom's producing. I've got an expander on each of them. I use an expander. I like expanders on toms rather than gates. If you're going to leave them open and have a bit of background noise, it allows you to control the background noise a bit better with an expander. And then an SSL compressor on each of the toms. All of those are set up the same. And then the overheads, there's nothing on the overhead channels because they get sorted out here, where I've got an EQ across the overheads. I've got the in-phase, which I showed you, and I've got an SSL compressor there. I've probably got these reasonably compressed, to be honest. Yeah, it is. It's hitting when the snare hits. It's reacting quite a lot there. So all in all of those drums together. Let me get it to the end where it's a bit more frantic playing, and you'll. Sounds like proper arena stuff. So that's how the drum kit is treated in the song. Very simple. Didn't do any triggers. Didn't do anything particularly special. There are a couple of places where I just boosted the wave file. Like there was clearly a floor tom there that was. No, I just wanted to get it to be a bit louder. Maybe it wasn't hit as loud as I would have liked. There was a couple of points here where the floor tom mic crackled. You can hear it here. There's something wrong with the leader or something. It crackled. So I've cut a few crackles and pops out of things. But other than that, there wasn't a huge amount. I didn't do any retiming. There's no huge edits. It was all played perfectly, which is lovely. That was really good. So yeah, another thing I do, if you've seen the show before, is I'll have all the drums grouped on an all drums group in this. I've got some EQ, I've got an SSL compressor, and I've also got the L2 limiter just to kind of level it up, but not to take too much out, hopefully. But I also then group everything else, all the vocals, all the music, to another group, so I can turn the music up and down independently from the drums, because sometimes you're mixing and things get louder, and then you're missing the core sort of beat of it. And I really like loud drums in mixes. I like the drums to be the most important thing in the mix. So that just allows me to do that, just turn the music down and let the drums kind of take the center stage. And usually I find, what is it on here? Where do I get to? I got to minus 6.82. I mean, sometimes it can be that. That's quite extreme, but then again, there's a lot of music going on here. There's so many tracks of vocals and so many tracks of guitars and keyboards and a couple of violins and other stuff. But in a normal mix, maybe that would start at 0 and end up at maybe minus 3.5, minus 4. So let's move on to the bass. Got the bass here. So the bass, I've done my normal thing. I've duplicated the track. You can also do it via kind of sending to different groups. I've got the sub channel here, which is just, if you're listening on a phone, you won't hear much of that. So that there is 71 and 101, which is actually a lot higher than I'd usually put it in, but I think, again, because of the mellow nature of the song and the fact that it's not sort of, boom, 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 it's not playing loads and loads of notes, that's rolled up a little bit higher than I'd usually have it, and then I compress that separately so you can see it kicks in on the really hard notes, but it's got a lovely high attack time, so you can still hear it punch through before the compressor kicks in. It doesn't kick in immediately. And then I've got the top channel, which is just all the high stuff. So I'm up to 436 hertz there. I'm rolling off there, and then rolling off there at just above 3K, 3.2K. So those together produce the bottom end of the song with the drums. So here's the next thing I've got here is the piano. So this is Dave Kersner's main sort of piano through the song. Obviously, he has to be featured quite high. He co-wrote the song with Durga, so wouldn't want to be kind of mixing that in the background somewhere. Let's have a listen through to that. So it's kind of a piano with a string pad in the background mixed together. I've panned these dead left and right, and I've got a CLA 2A plug-in, the model of the LA2A compressor over the top of it. On the quiet bits, kind of tickling around 3 dB, but then when it kicks in later, it's going to really slam that compressor. And at the end as well, you can hear without it, I'm missing a lot of that stringiness that's coming through. I like the fact that when the piano hits, you hear the piano, and then as the piano's fading out, the strings kind of swell up underneath because of the heavy compression. So that's what I was trying to get there. I've got some horns that he gave me, some synth horns, which I think I panned because you can see in the wave here they're kind of heavy to one side. So I've panned them a bit to even them up. And then I've got this organ. There's some lovely organ work on this, particularly. Let me get to where the there's a breakdown here. Is this the one I'm thinking? I think it's here where it, you hear it trail out. I love that chord. I really love that chord. And you hear the semitone clash between the two notes. That's beautiful. So on the organ, I've got a bit of EQ going on. I introduced another EQ into it to do some broader strokes. And again, the CLA 2A compressor tickling around 3 dB. So that's going on the organ. And then I've got some power chord guitars here. I'm not sure who played it. I'm guessing Fernando. Maybe if Dave's still listening, he can confirm whether this is Fernando. So I did a bit of EQ on that, and I've put a ping pong delay on it. I've also got an LA2A simulator on it, and I've also delayed the right hand side by 20 milliseconds, so it's coming in from the left and the right. It's not just in the middle, so that kind of gives it a lot of space for some center stuff to happen later on. Then there's some violins, which I'll go to one of the bits where it's more featured over here. You can see I've got this automated a hell of a lot. So I've got the reverb going up and down. I've got the volume coming up and down at different points. So this is coming out of the first chorus. You can see, so the violin's quite featured here with quite a bit of reverb, but then that starts to come off.
One by one, I peel each image from the TV screen.
And the violin's now back down to a level that's not going to interfere. And I've got various places in the song later on when I show you where it interacts with my guitar, where it's coming up, it's like hitting the loudest I could get the fader, to be honest, at certain points. So it comes up and then it comes down for my end solo. So that's the violin tracks. They're kind of just playing all the way through. So I just fed them in and out as I thought was needed. Right at the beginning, it actually starts completely in reverb, pretty much, very quiet and completely in reverb. So I just had this idea. It's almost like the orchestra tuning up, and then slowly you're getting closer to the source. So it kind of starts with all that going on in the background. On to my bits on it. I did a few guitars on it. I did. So if I play the chorus on its own. So that there, if I play that guitar on its own, it's a 12-string Dan Electro. This one here. I can go into more details about the guitars because I did them, but cheers, Noel. I'm glad you like it. This is a 12-string Dan Electro. Because I recorded it with a 57 and a condenser into a stereo channel, I'm using this thing here to not only swap the phase on one of the mics, but also bring in the width of it a little bit. And then I've got a stereo delay here, which is actually a 0% mix on the left and 100% mix on the right, and it's just shifting the right by 30 milliseconds. And then I've got a couple of EQs filtering out some nasty stuff. Crazy EQs going on, but that's what it took to make it sound nice. Then I've got an H delay over the top doing some ping pong. I've got the LA2A compressor, compressing it all after that. And then I've got a gate because some of that stuff produces some hiss. And then a bit of reverb over the end of it. So it's a lot going on that one guitar, but I think it sounds really nice and twinkly in the background. And then I've got the next guitar here, which is it's my 58 Strat. There it is. That sounds like this. So I've got the same imager plug-in doing the thing with the left and the right. Got a bit of an EQ on there. Got my favourite Room Machine plugin, adding a bit of room to it. I've got a delay over it. A gate. Gates are boring. LA2A compressor. And then a bit of reverb. So that in with the other guitar and the piano. So let's put in a few instruments. So I'll do all the drums, the bass, the piano, the organ. For now, I'll just put a few bits in. Leave out the power chords for now, just to hear it, and the violin. So you hear. If I bring it back to here, you'll hear where it comes in. And then later on in the song, on that same guitar track there, I do a load of like little noodles in between. You see they're automated to go up and down. And then at the end of that, I come to my first bit of main solo. So that guitar's... And then you get this one, which is my 58 Strat again. And then right at the end, I changed to another guitar. I changed to the 57 Gold Top Les Paul, neck pickup, tone rolled off, and I try and do a finger picking sort of Mark Knopfler type thing. So you get the idea on that one, and then a lot of the way through there's acoustics as well, so I did a couple of acoustic tracks on it. Of course I highlight it on the only place I make a mistake. I say the only place. Let's listen from here. Probably loads of mistakes in this. And with the song, obviously that works.
From your upturned lip and my downcast face.
And then I've got the vocals going on. So I've got a lead vocal here, which is actually a stereo file because I was sent it as something that was already comped, a little bit comped, and I've done a few edits myself and brought a few words up and down in level and tweaked some stuff. And on this, I've got an EQ that looks like that. I've got the 1176 Waves 1176 compressor with the classic bluey sort of setting, doing doing the main vocal compression, which sounds lovely. And then I've got the CLA effects, and that's purely just to do throw vocals. So you can see where I do throw vocals. Let's have a look. Is this it here? So there'll be
woven of TV and internet.
So you get these little lines that just echo out more than the other.
To ease the pain.
So it triggers the odd word here or there, and I've got that sort of sparsely throughout the song. It just does a little repeat here or there on certain words that she sings, or certain lines that she sings. And all of those there go to the vocal group here, which I've just got a little bit of a high pass filter on. I've got a gate as well to get rid of some of the annoying background noise. I've got a compressor on the whole group of vocals, and then I've got a delay on the whole group of vocals. I've got a reverb on the whole group of vocals. 41 milliseconds of pre-delay on that, a nice plate-sounding reverb. And I've got a limiter across the whole group. After that, a limiter kind of squashing the reverb and everything in with the vocals, in the same way that earlier with the keyboards, when there was the piano with the string sound and I wanted to hear the piano and then the strings come up underneath. If you compress a vocal group with all the reverbs and the delays, you hear the vocal, and then when the vocal disappears, all the reverbs and delays sort of swell up underneath it and take the space that the vocal is taking, and I absolutely love that. I think that that sounds lovely. So
Comfort of an electric blanket, woven of TV and internet, soothes me a little.
And then there's plenty of backing vocals. I think, there's an intro channel here where she did some sort of ad-lib stuff. And if you listen really carefully, there's a click in the background spilling from her headphones to the mic, which I really didn't like. It annoyed me. So what I did there is I thought, well, rather than trying to hide it and failing miserably and find frequencies, and it just didn't work. Whatever I was doing to try and get rid of it didn't work. I ended up adding in a TikTok thing over the top of it. So there was like a... So that's over the intro, and I got that, stretched it out and made it perfectly in time with the song. So now her click track that you can hear in the background doesn't actually sound like it's the click track. I covered up the headphone bleed. And then once that was in, I was talking to Durga about it, and she was like, oh, we could have the whole radio intro thing. I think she'd been thinking of that before. So we did this sort of radio intro, which I'll show you in a minute, which kind of got tagged onto the beginning, and you had the clock running in the background of that, and that really nicely covered up that headphone bleed when she was singing really quiet. So sometimes a mistake or a problem with something that you might sort of live with or leave can actually inspire something quite interesting in the mix. There's a load of backing vocals here as well. I've got various bits here.
Mindlessly, I wrap myself up in them.
So I've got a left and right vocal there. I think they're exactly the same thing. I think I was given two kind of mono files of her singing there, but actually it was the same vocal on both sides. So what I did is I put the Waves tuners on them. One of them was not set to tune, and the other was set to tune a bit more, and I think I delayed one, and I can't remember. I might have just dragged the wave over by a tiny amount to try and make it sound like they're two different vocals rather than a single vocal. The other really cool thing on the vocals here, there's a bit here where it goes.
I'm about to break into a scream that will take 1,000 years to complete.
So I had, I love that bit. Let me go back to here. Let me solo this out. So there was one where she sung Scream here. So I distorted all of these. I remember I distorted all of those and then got another one here. And they're actually taken from another vocal take that she did, which I actually haven't got here at the moment because it didn't end up making the major thing. Because she originally sung that scream really long, the same length as I've got them there, but pitched in the same place as the lead vocal. So that pitch. And it was kind of interfering and cutting you being able to hear the lead vocal. So I actually pitched it up a third and then up a fifth and staggered them coming in. So that's kind of all artificially generated. And she had a short one as well. So you get the short one in the normal pitch, and then you get the two harmonies coming in staggered on each beat, kind of left, right, left, right. And they're all kind of distorted and delayed, and it sounds great. And because it's panned, and because it's not the original pitch and all of that, it doesn't interfere with the lead vocal. It sounds really nice. So I was really pleased with that. That was a good day. And I remember when I sent Durga the mix, I said, I hope it makes you scream. And I think she got what I was on about. So I've got some two lots of backing vocals here. So there's a backing vocal there, and then backing vocal there. I think I've done the same thing with tuners on them to try and make them sound different. No, they're not identical. I did have some identical ones. Maybe that was a different song. I can't remember. It's been so many songs, so many mixes. But yeah, I've got backing vocals here, which I'll.
Forming a cocoon.
With the lead vocal.
Alone up in my room.
And these are all panned round. That's those two are sort of 72 each side. That's in the centre. That's in the centre. That's also in the centre. And then I've got these R's. Oh yeah, it was the R's that I did with the thing. So I had 3-part R's going on here. That's what I was sent, and I tripled them up to be 9 channels. So you can see I've got R1, and then I've got 2 copies of R1, which are panned left and right, and they're delayed by 6 and 12 milliseconds. And then I've got tuners over those two to try and make them sound different. So it will kind of bend the notes slightly. It's not that they're out of tune, but it will just bend them to sort of like robotic perfect tuning. But if I give them a different amount of time it takes to get them there, then it will hopefully sound like 3 different vocals rather than one. So So I've got some EQ across that group there that looks like that. I've got the 1176 compressor. I've got some delay. I've got some rotary speaker, like Leslie speaker simulation going on in the R's. I've got a gate across it just to get rid of some annoying noise. I've got another EQ after all of that, because sometimes you can EQ up front and then all the processing will do something to the EQ. So I've got a second EQ and then some reverb. And that's everything that's in the mix there. That is the mix. Obviously, a lot of work trying things out that didn't work, and sitting there tweaking the violin, trying to get it to go up and down through, make sure it kind of come out in this bit and take away on that bit, and sort of editing the vocals and trying to get rid of any little splutters and bits and pieces like that. But yeah, that's the mix. It's actually a lot more basic. Now I've explained it than I thought. It just took quite a while. It was the time it took to get the details rather than the amount of stuff that's going on. But so yeah, I'm going to mute my mic again, and after that full explanation there, I'm going to play the whole song again from the beginning, so you can hear. And then if you've got any questions, anyone on the stream got any questions, you can ask me. If not, I think that is a nice little concise mix breakdown of this song. So here we go. Let's play it.
I shuffle off, mind slap numb, completely unaware of my surroundings. The comfort of an electric blanket, woven of TV and internet, soothes me a little, so I'm not so brittle, apt to crack from one last hard word home from your upturned lip and my downcast face. I need to ease the pain. I want to be erased. Forming a cocoon.
I'm going to show you a couple more things before I go on this. Let me just shut the mix of that. I can also show you the intro, because I made an intro for it. Where's the Cocoon Intro? There it is. So yeah, I made an intro for it. Durga and Lorelei sent me some stuff. And this is the intro. So I had here just the TikTok. Which gets louder and louder and louder as a bass. And then Durga sent me through a show reel of her doing some voiceover stuff that she had. So I chopped all that up. And then I had Lorelei doing a couple of bits as well. And I panned them. Did I not have them panned? Clearly not. Okay. I thought I did. Never mind, doesn't matter. They're in the centre.
Oh, I'm Blaine Glaze, everyone's favorite game show host. You've got a game? I'll host it for you.
I see, yes, I have got it panned. Sorry, all of this stuff here and the TV static gets sent to a group. I've forgotten about that. So I've got a group here called TV, which is panned, and I've got that with a really kind of a low and high pass, and then a peak around 2K, so it kind of sounds like it's coming through a TV speaker. And then I've got a CLA2A compressor across it, and I've got a room machine plug-in to try and make it sound like it's in a small room. And then I've got basically the same kind of thing here. I've got the room machine here with these button press noises that that I got. If I play it back here, you'll hear the button press noise. So I've got them kind of liberally across here, and I've got the TV static noise. So the button presses pan slightly to the right, and then I've got me breathing at the end of it. Tiny little breath just to make it sound like, oh, you know, bored of that. And this here is where it gets crossfaded. If I go to the mastering page where I was doing the mastering, let's just load all the mastering. 1 second. Come on. This is all the mastering for the whole album. But I basically cut those two bits together at the end here. So you can see there's the intro and there's the song, and I chopped them together. And then right at the end of the song, because I thought the last chord kind of cut a bit quick, I actually put a delay plug-in over the whole thing, which automates right at the end just to kind of extend the last note a little bit. That's across the whole mix. You can see the automation here. Just extends it a little bit. So yeah, in the mastering, I just extended the end with a delay and cut the intro onto it. So the intro and the song started to play like this.
Oh, I'm Blaine Glaze, everyone's favorite game show host. You've got a game? I'll host it for you.
Side effects may include onset of neuropathy, hypertension, sudden death, blindness.
That's great. Well, it's been fun.
Hey, don't go yet. I really can't be staying.
Why not?
Even though that is a delightful negligee you're wearing.
Wait.
Gotta-
Take 2 of these and sleep. Sleep. Sleep.
So that got cut on the beginning, and that was yeah, and that was it. And then that kind of went with all the other songs and got mastered, and I exported the whole lot as a single file and cut it up into songs, and that's the album. So I think that is enough for this show. I hope you enjoyed that mix breakdown. I'll be uploading it to YouTube. If you're already watching on YouTube, then you know that. So yeah, I will see you next time. Thank you very much.